It's Friday. We have a wonderful speaker lined up here next. He is with Family ID, and his name is Greg Gunn. Family ID. Does anybody know what ID stands for?
I have no idea. What does it stand for?
What's it stand for? Intentional direction. Everyone has an intentional direction, or should make it that way anyway, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. It makes things a lot easier.
I'm so excited about this last speaker. I'm excited about all of our speakers. Once again, thank you so much for coming out and for our sponsors and the wonderful lunch today that was provided. If you have not been to the back to the massage table, I suggest it highly. And also maybe grab all the business cards off of our sponsors' tables and anybody in the room that you haven't connected with yet so that you can set up coffee and lunch next week. Awesome.
You got it?
I think so. I think we're ready for Greg.
All right, let's go, Greg.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Man, I'm so excited. I can hardly stand it. I grew up in a small town, southeast Oklahoma, called Ada, Oklahoma. How many have ever heard of Ada, Oklahoma? Oh my gosh, yeah, baby. Woo! Man, it's a great place to be from, all right? My parents, growing up, taught me some core values, okay? The core value that my parents taught me early in life was to be frugal. How many know what frugal is? How many know what cheap is? I'm telling you, I come from a long line of really cheap people, okay? I mean, I remember when my parents bought carpet for the house. They went into the carpet store. They said, hey, show us the cheapest thing you got, and we'll force ourselves to like it. Woo, man, you should have seen our carpet. It was something, all right? My wife and I, Rhonda, have been married for 39 years. Wow. Thank you. In fact, I want to show you a picture of my family real quick. We have 7 children, and they're all boys. Can you believe that? 7 children. In fact, someone asked me the other day, Greg, have you got figured out what's causing all those kids? I said, well, I've got it narrowed down to 2 things, and if it's what I think it is, I'm not stopping now. So they left me alone, all right? No, I'm kidding. We have 7 children. They're all boys except for 5 of them. That's right. 5 girls and 2 boys, all right? Now, how many of you growing up had to wear hand-me-downs? Anybody? Did anybody in this room have to wear a hand-me-down from your older sibling to the younger sibling, right? Well, you can imagine our boys being the youngest, them getting some of those hand-me-downs, sliding into third base, their dresses flying up, everybody seeing their panties. How many agree they got a lot to overcome? Would you all agree with that? No, I'm kidding. We're going to get them some new stuff. But anyway, today, what I want to do is share with you the power of a family vision. I started in business at age 19. I was a junior in college. The company I went to work for was recruiting on campus, and I went to one of their meetings, and they allowed me to join somewhat on an internship. I ended up starting that financial services business in 1980, and I built that business until 2010, 30 years, and then I went full-time into this Family ID nonprofit organization, helping families put their 100-year family business and game plan in writing, okay? So the power of this started for me when I was 37 years old in 1997. The associate pastor at my church was absent one Sunday. The next week he was back. I said, hey, David, where were you last week? He said, well, my wife and I were on our annual family goal-setting weekend. I thought, oh, what? He said, yeah, this is our 5th year. We go away once a year. We write goals for our marriage, goals for each other. We write goals for each of our children. We then go home, we take this document that we've written, we sit down with our kids and go, kids, what do you want to accomplish this year? And we write those down, and we laminate that, we put it by their bed, and at night when we tuck them in, we go over their goals with them. Whew, I about passed out. I got weak at the knee. I said, man, that's the most intentional thing I've ever heard of in my life. Dude, I do all that for my business. In fact, raise your hand if you've ever worked for a company or you have a business and you have a company mission statement or vision statement or core value. Raise your hand if you ever worked for, ever had one, did one, right? Think about that. Why don't we have one of those for our family? Let me ask you this, what's more important to you, your business or your family? Family, right? Then we ought to be as intentional at home as we are at work. Am I right? So I'm telling you, we've got an opportunity to change the direction of where our culture and our country is headed by helping families develop their multi-generational family vision, okay? So here's what I want to do. I want you to see, I'm going to show you a commercial that was done in Australia, okay? And as soon as that's all I'm going to do to set up that video, all right? Let's play it.
Anyone, living or dead. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would you choose?
Kylie Minogue.
Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, God, I wouldn't have a clue.
I know, straight up. Paul Hogan.
Kim Kardashian.
No.
I'd like to have dinner with Justin Bieber.
What? He's not coming to my house.
I'd have Bob Hawke.
Dave Hughes.
Barry Humphries.
Jimi Hendrix.
People who have made a difference in the world, maybe Nelson Mandela at the dinner table.
I don't know what he's going to say, I'm scared.
If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, who would you choose?
Probably our whole family, like our whole extended family.
Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad. Does it have to be a celebrity? Could it be family?
We love it. We talk about how school is. We ask Mum and Dad how their day was.
Family.
Yeah, Mum and Dad.
Family. Who would you like to have a dinner with?
They just want to be with us while they're eating food, which is pretty cool.
They see us above everything. I'm gonna get...
Yeah. Bit of a message in it for me.
Yes.
What are we having for dinner?
Wow, that is a food commercial. Can you believe that? Man, what a powerful word. Here's these kids who have all their friends and all the social media and TikTok and on and on and on and all the video games, right? And who they want to have dinner with. Who would have ever thought they'd want to have dinner just with their family? Let me just tell you, this generation is hungry, right? They're hungry for this idea of family, this multi-generational family vision, okay? I'm going to show you the next slide. I'm going to tell you a story. In fact, how many of you got this little handout? It says Family ID at the top. Okay, grab your handout because we're going to go through this. I'm going to have you guys read along, okay? Because I want to tell you this story about a guy named Monty Roberts. Back in the early 2000s, Robert Redford produced a movie called The Horse Whisperer. How many have ever heard of the movie Horse Whisperer? Okay, this story is loosely based on this man's life, Monty Roberts. He's probably the most world-renowned horse trainer, and man, his story is incredible. And this actually came from Chicken Soup for the Soul. How many of you ever heard of the book Chicken Soup for the Soul? Okay, this is one of the stories in those volumes, #1 worldwide bestseller, and here's what it says. Y'all read along with me. Here's what it says. It says, I have a friend named Monty Roberts who owns a horse ranch in San Torito, California. He let me use his house to put on fundraising events to raise money for youth at risk programs. The last time I was there, he introduced me by saying, I want to tell you why I let Jack, this is Monty Roberts saying, I want to tell you why I let Jack use my house to put on these fundraising events. It all goes back to a story about a young man who was the son of an itinerant horse trainer who would go from stable to stable, racetrack to racetrack, farm to farm, ranch to ranch, training horses. As a result, the boy's high school career was continually interrupted. When he was a senior, he was asked to write a paper about what he wanted to do and be when he grew up. That night, he wrote a 7-page paper describing his goal of someday owning a horse ranch. He wrote about his dream in great detail and even drew a diagram of a 200-acre ranch showing the location of all the buildings, the stables, and the track. Then he drew a detailed floor plan for a 4,000-square-foot house that would sit in the middle of that 200-acre dream ranch. He put a great deal of his heart into the project, and the next day he handed it in to his teacher. 2 days later, he received that same paper back. On the front page was a large red F with a note that read, "See me after class." The boy with the dream went to see the teacher after class and said, "Why did I receive an F?" The teacher said, "This is an unrealistic dream for a boy like you. You have no money. You come from an itinerant family. You have no resources. Owning a horse ranch requires a lot of money. You have to pay for the land. You have to pay for the original breeding stock, and later you'll have to pay large stud fees. There's no way you could ever do it." Then the teacher added, "If you'll rewrite this paper with a more realistic goal, I'll reconsider your grade." The boy went home and thought about it long and hard. And he asked his father, he said, "What should I do?" His father said, "Look, son, you have to make up your mind on this. However, I think it's a very important decision for you." Finally, after sitting with it for a week, the boy turned in the same paper, making no changes at all. He said, "You keep your F, and I'll keep my dream." Monty then turned to that assembled group. Isn't that a good word? Wow. Monty then turned to that assembled group and said, "Hey, I'll tell you this story because you're sitting in my 4,000-square-foot house in the middle of my 200-acre horse ranch. I still have that school paper framed over the fireplace," he added. "And the best part of this story is that 2 summers ago, that same school teacher brought 30 kids to camp out on my ranch for a week. When the teacher was leaving, he said, 'Look, Monty, I can tell you this now. When I was your teacher, I was something of a dream stealer. I stole a lot of kids. During those years, I stole a lot of kids' dreams. Fortunately, you had enough gumption not to give up on yours. Don't let anyone steal your dream or your vision. Follow your heart no matter what." All right, fantastic. Thank you guys for following. All right. I want you to turn to the next page in your handout. I'm going to give you a little test to see if you were paying attention. All right, are you ready? I want y'all to fill these in. How many of y'all, did everybody get one of these? If you didn't get one, there's probably one extra on your table there. Okay, good. All right. He developed a 7-page, what kind of plan? Was it a vague plan or a detailed plan? Very good, write that in. He had, hey, your vision has to have great detail. Now guys, when I was growing up, I had dyslexia. How many know what dyslexia is? You see words and letters backwards, okay? How many know what the atheist insomniac does every night? The atheist insomniac. In fact, the atheist insomniac does it. You know what he does every night? Lays awake trying to figure out if there's really a dog. I mean, you know, if you get the letters backward. Anyway, some of y'all will get that later, and you'll bust out laughing and go, "Oh, yeah, God, there's really a dog." Anyway, So as a dyslexic, I had a hard time learning to read. Oh my gosh, I remember the second grade. The teacher put me at the blue table at the back of the room. Y'all know who the table where the slow kids sat? Okay, I was at that slow kid table. And kids would walk by the table and say, "Hey, Greg, look at my thumb." "Gee, you're dumb." Oh, man. I agree that could hurt your self-esteem a little bit. Am I right? So I made it all the way through school, I think, without writing 7 pages of anything. All right? That's how bad I was. So here's this high school senior writing a 7-page detailed plan of what he wanted to have happen. All right? So in those 7 pages, he drew a diagram of a 200-acre ranch, and how many square feet was this dream house? Right, write it in, 4,000 square feet. His teacher said, "There is no way," write that in, "there is no way you could ever do it." Man, can you imagine a teacher telling a kid? Woo, that'll motivate some kids, right? That'll discourage others, right? He said to that teacher, "You keep your F," write that in, "you keep your F and I'll keep my dream." And then last, don't let anyone steal your dream. See, where there is no vision, the people don't do very good. It says in an ancient script, where there is no vision, it'd be better if you had one. Is that the way that goes? Where there is no vision, the people what? And where there is no family vision, the family will perish. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. What is it about a family vision that you must pass to every generation of your family that will capture the heart and the imagination of your children? Did you know that 70% of all inherited wealth is gone and spent by the end of the second generation? And 90% of all inherited wealth is gone by the end of the third generation. How in the world can that be? That no matter how much money you have, it could be 100 billion, 90% of it's gone by the end of the third generation. It's because these families didn't have a family and business multi-generational vision, okay? So let me ask you this. How many of you here can give me the name of your great-grandmother on your mother's side? I need to know her first, middle, and last name. How many of you can do it? First, middle, and last. Wow. Wow, okay? Normally about 2% of the audience, I ask this question all over the world, and we only about 2% can do it. Well, why is that? Well, the number one reason is because your great-grandmother did not leave you $1 million. Raise your hand. You say, "Greg, you're right. You're absolutely right. She did not leave me." Now, if she had left you $1 million, you'd have her picture framed above the fireplace, wouldn't you? I had a guy say, "Greg, I don't have a fireplace." I said, "Buddy, you would have a fireplace if she had left you $1 million, right?" He said, "Oh, of course, you'd at least know her name." Am I right? Isn't it amazing? Did you know there's an old proverb? This comes from Africa, an African proverb. When a grandparent dies, a library burns. Think about that. How many of you have had a grandparent die? And think about that library that died with them. All that experience, all that wisdom, all that insight, and it's gone. Because we as a people don't keep those archives of that family wealth. The real wealth is that wisdom and that experience. So they believe, in fact, in the ancient Greek world, they believed, and I want you to write this in a margin, okay, on your paper. You got to write this in. In the ancient Greeks believed there were 5 deaths that everyone would experience. 5 deaths. So write that in your notes. 5 deaths. First death. It's when you get so old you can no longer have children. The ancient Greeks believed you experienced your first death. Second death is when you get so old you can no longer work. Second death. Third death is when you physically die. That's your third death. The fourth death is when your remains turn to dust. And the fifth death is the last time your name is ever mentioned. Did you know that all ancient Hebrews were required to remember and memorize the name of every ancestor? I mean, there's book after book in the Bible that lists nothing but name after name after name. Why in the world did they require you to memorize those names? Well, in that ancient world, they believed that every time you mentioned their name, they would never die. Whoo! Isn't that something? Isn't that something? All right, so let me ask you this. You know, as a business owner, I became a fanatic goal setter. In fact, that was something that my good friend David Smith had asked me to do, is to become a goal setter, write goals for my marriage. In fact, as a business owner, I had 800 licensed agents in our company. We were in 5 states. We sold investments, insurance, and mortgages. And I required everybody in the company to carry their written goals on them in writing. So if I came up to you at work and said, I need to see your goals, if you couldn't produce that piece of paper with your goals written on it, because we'd been to some workshop and that workshop said you got to write them. You can't just type them into your phone. You got to write them out with your own hand. There's something about writing it out that causes something to go up through your arm into your brain, and you remember it at a different level. So we adopted that. We said, now anyone that I come up to at work and say, I need to see your goals, if you couldn't produce them, I made you pay $1 fine. And we put it in a bucket. At the end of the month, we had a pizza party off all the fine money. How many of you agree that's some fanatical goal setting? Would y'all agree with that? All right. But the thought of writing goals for my family hadn't been within 1,000 miles of my head. I mean, I was complete. We had goal-setting workshops, goal-setting retreats. We'd go on a retreat, take our leadership team and work on goals for the next year and so forth. But the thought of doing it for my family, how could I be so disconnected to not think that I've got to have an intentional direction for my family, right? I need a family mission statement. I need a family core values. Man, why didn't that happen for me? So here's what we found. In all this study we did on goal setting, we found what is more important of knowing how you're going to accomplish that goal? Hey, tell me, did Monty Roberts know how he was going to get that 200-acre ranch? Did he know how he was going to get that 4,000 square? No, he didn't know how, but he had a gigantic why. See, if your why, write this in, if your why is big enough, you'll figure out how. How, you can't hide how to good enough that you won't figure out how, but you got to have a why. It begins with why. Simon Sinek has done one of the top TED Talks in the world, almost 500 million views. It begins with why. Man, it's powerful. You've got to have a gigantic why so that when you start writing your goals, it can change your life. Let me tell you what happened there at the bottom of that page. There was a study done at Dominican University of California. They did a study on goal setting. Here's what they found. If you write a goal one time, even forget that you wrote it, you will achieve significantly more. Write that in. They found in this that you will accomplish significantly more than those who didn't write their goal. They said it was as high as a 73% chance you will accomplish that goal. Write that in, a 73% chance. How many of you guys would like to increase your chances of accomplishing a goal by 73%? Then all you got to do is write it down. Just write it down. Isn't that amazing? I talked to Governor Stitt. In fact, we were able to take the governor and his family through this process of writing a family vision, mission, and values, and help them set up a 100-year family and business game plan. And our governor is a fanatical goal setter. when he walked across the stage at OSU to get his diploma at age 22, he had 40 life goals that he had written, and they were in his pocket. That was 24 years ago. Did you know how many of those 40 life goals he has accomplished already in 24 years? 36 of the 40 he has accomplished. You know what his greatest regret was? That he only wrote 40. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Okay? So listen to this. Here's what they found out in this study. If you write the goal, put it in writing, put it where others can see it. Ask others to hold you accountable to it. You will drastically improve your chances of accomplishing that goal. As high as a 93% chance. Write that in the margin. You increase your chances to 93% by putting it in writing, putting it where others can see it, asking others to hold you accountable to it. That's how you increase. So to this date, in 24 years, our governor has already accomplished 34 of the 90. One of them was to become governor of Oklahoma. Did y'all know that? That was one of his 5, and he scratched it out. They actually, in fact, if you pull this up on YouTube, type in Governor Stitt commencement, because he shared this list at the commencement speech he did at OSU. And he had actually, he lined out, and he wrote in, have dinner with the governor. And he said now that he's been in office, he's had dinner with the governor 186 times or something like that. Okay, 500 times, I don't know. All right, so you can drastically improve. All right, look at the next page. Write your vision. Now this comes from a scripture, an ancient script. It says, then the Lord answered me, write the vision. Underline that. Underline that on your page. Write the vision. Make it clear on tablets so that anyone can read it quickly. Put it in writing. Underline that. Put it in writing. Because it's not yet time for it to come true, but the time is coming quickly, and what I show you will come true. Underline that. What I show you will come true. It may seem slow in coming, but wait for it. It will certainly take place. Underline that. It will certainly take place. And it will not be delayed. Now, let me ask you, based on that scripture, what's the first thing you got to do with your vision? You got to write it down. Second, what do you got to do? You got to wait for it. Am I right? You got to wait for it because it's going to seem like it's never going to come. Y'all hear what I'm saying? How many of y'all have had a dream? How many of y'all have had a vision? It kind of seems like it ain't never going to come. But wait for it. It will what? It will certainly do what? It will certainly take place. So, if your vision is from God, there's a what % chance it'll come to pass? Man, that's all I've ever wanted is 100% chance. Oh, Lord, please give me 100%, right? Guys, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. You've got to put it in writing. Hey, what if God told you today, this day, I'll give you whatever you want? Did you know Mark Twain, the great American author, one of the most famous in the world? Mark Twain once said, I can help anybody get whatever they want. How many agree that's a pretty bold statement? I can help anyone get whatever they want. And then he qualified it. He said, I just can't find anyone who knows exactly what they want. All right? How many agree? Let's don't let that be our problem. So if I said, I'm going to give you whatever you want, I'll help you get it. You just need to know one thing. What is that? What exactly do you want? All right. Here's your purpose. How many agree people want to know what their purpose is in this life? Would you all agree? People are interested in that. In fact, Rick Warren wrote a book almost 20 years ago called The Purpose-Driven Life. They sold over 30 million copies in maybe 20 different languages. How many agree people are interested on this earth in figuring out what their purpose is? Well, let me give you your purpose. You ready? Your purpose is to build, enhance, and develop your relationship with God first. Do you know that? That's your first most important purpose. Figure out. Is to build, enhance, and develop a relationship with God. Second, your second most important priority in this life and purpose is to build, enhance, and develop your relationship with family. How many know that's kind of tough sometimes when you have a family member or person or situation? You say, Greg, you just don't know. You just don't know the train wreck that I came from, right? But you know what? As hard as that is, it's the second most important priority of your life, is to build, enhance, and develop your relationship with family, starting with your spouse or your siblings, all right? Third, your purpose is to build, enhance, and develop your relationship with others. Hey, what is your vocation? Who does your vocation put you around? It's 5, 6, 7 days a week, 8, 10 hours a day. Lots of others, am I right? Your purpose is to build, enhance, and develop your relationship with others so that you can influence them to accomplish their purpose. Your vocation is not your purpose. It's your platform. And the bigger you build your business, the bigger you build your organization, the bigger you go, the more you accumulate, the bigger your platform. So you can have influence. Leadership is influence, right? That's what my good buddy Ray Sanders said. Influence. You got to use your influence. Okay, so what do you have? What is it that your vision will accomplish? What does a vision do for you? Okay, here's what it does. Number one, vision creates passion. You show me someone that's got no passion, I'll show you someone that doesn't have a passion problem. They got a vision problem, because vision creates passion. Do you know that? Vision creates passion. Passion creates discipline. Self-discipline. Write that in. And you say, Greg, I just don't have self-discipline. I'm telling you, I've been working on it. I've been trying, but you know what? You don't have a self-discipline problem. You got a passion problem. Because if you have passion for something, you don't even know it hurts. Am I right? You don't even know you're sacrificing. Because see, it's your passion. Vision creates passion. Passion creates discipline. Discipline creates total commitment. You know, I had a football coach that told me, he said, Greg, if you'll come early and stay late, if you'll give 110% effort. Can you actually give 110% effort? I don't know, but he convinced me there was 110% effort, okay? He said, if you'll give it all you got, when that old tight end runs up to that line and that football is sitting on the 2-yard line and they're about to score, if you've paid a big, nasty, ugly price and you've sacrificed and sacrificed, you're going to look that old tight end in the eye and say, you don't love it like I love it. You don't want it like I want it. I've paid a bigger price than you. I deserve to beat you. And man, when they hike that ball, you'll hit that old boy and knock him right on his butt. I said, you're right. Dude, it worked. I felt like I deserved to win. How many of you would like to feel like you deserve to win? That little extra edge that makes the average and the difference between being average and ordinary and being the best there is, it comes from you having this vision, creating that passion, and that passion giving you the power to be disciplined, and that discipline creates total commitment, and total commitment will change the world. Woo! Write that in. Total commitment will change the world. You can lay a foundation right now for many godly generations to come. You can put a vision in writing. How many of you know that Toyota, the automobile company, has a 200-year written business plan? Now, how many of you would slap the guy who put you on the committee to write a 200-year business plan for your automobile company? Can you imagine? What in the world are we going to be driving 200 years from now? Who knows? But I want you to think about this. Companies that are visionary companies are able to change with the times. Did you know that there was a book written in the late 1990s called Built to Last, and it was about the visionary companies and how much more powerful and how much more market share a visionary company has as compared to a company in the same industry, but they're not a visionary company. They don't have this multi-generational vision, okay? To qualify for the study, you had to be a company that was at least 50 years old. You had to have successfully passed the business from the founder to another generation of leaders who built it bigger than the founder. They found 10 companies in the world that had done that. They took Toyota as the visionary company and General Motors as the company who didn't have the vision. Which one of those two companies do you think is most profitable today? Toyota, by far, okay? They had another company, a little company called Hallmark. Hallmark was the visionary company. They did primarily greeting cards at the time. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The company that was also in the same industry, just wasn't a visionary company, is a company you've probably never heard of called American Greeting Cards. Never heard of them, right? What kind of business is Hallmark in now? In addition to their greeting card business, what are they in? They're into the movie business. I mean, my wife, Rhonda, would spend the rest of her life watching nothing but Hallmark movies. I'm telling you, it's incredible. All right? Now, hey, have you ever heard of American Greeting Cards movie channel? No. See, visionary companies know how to adapt with the time. How many of you know what I'm talking about? How many of y'all want to have a family that has a multi-generational vision where you can pass a vision to every generation? How many of you want to be one of those few families that when you pass your wealth to the next generation, they do nothing but build on it into the next generation? All right? Then you've got to have a family vision. Look there on that top of that page. Your family vision will become a compass. Now, when do you need a compass? You need every generation of your family to be able to look into this family vision and get direction. So you need to write that in. Number one, your family vision will act as a compass. Your family core values will act as a rudder. Now, how big is a rudder in comparison to the size of a ship? How big is a rudder? Man, it is tiny compared to the size of a ship. But that rudder can turn that ship away from the rocks that could destroy that ship. How many agree with what I'm talking about? You need a rudder in your family that will help turn your family away from the rocks that could destroy your family in the generations to come. And number three, it'll become a telescope. Why is it that every ship captain has a telescope? Why is it important to have a telescope? Woo, good word. That's right. You can see something that's way off in the distance as if it's up close. You need that to help your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and those that will be a part, those that will join your family in the generations to come. It'll allow them to see the vision that's way off in the distance as if it's up close. All right? So now I'm going to give you the three things you need to create a family legacy. How many of you want to have a powerful legacy that you pass to every generation? All right? I didn't really get excited about learning history until I got out of school. But man, I became a history buff, okay? I got excited about the history of the United States, and I found out that in 1620, there were 102 pilgrims that got on a boat. There were two ships coming from England. One was the Mayflower, and the other one, I don't know the name of that one. Anyway, there were two. One of them sprung a leak. They had to turn around, go back to Plymouth, England, and get all the pilgrims off both boats, put them on one boat. There were 102. The ship, it took them, they were 2 months late getting here. They were 200 miles off course when they got here. and the weather was horrible. So all of those pilgrims had to stay in the hull of that ship for 66 days. Can you imagine? No bathroom, no shower, everybody throwing up. How many can you imagine trying to get over here? So they finally got to 200 miles off course. They're going to get off the ship, just run up onto the beach and go get a good shower. No. They landed in November. How cold is it in Plymouth, Massachusetts in November? Man, it was cold, all right? Guys, that first winter, they got down to 5 kernels of corn a day was everybody's ration. They had some corn. They had a shovel. Each family had a shovel and an axe. That was all they had. That first winter, more than half of them died. There were only 50 who were left. How many of those 50 said to the ship captain, hey, let's go back. I had no idea when I got over here to America I'm going to watch each one of my family members die. Are you kidding me? Hey, Captain, can I go back? How many of those 50 people said, after they got through that first winter, said, hey, I just want to go back? Not one of them. Not one of them. See, they had a vision, and that vision created passion. That passion gave them power to be disciplined. Y'all hear that? These pilgrims, my gosh, did you know 150 years later, it was some of their descendants who signed the Declaration of Independence. You know what they said? We pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor to defend and protect and pass this Declaration of Independence from England. Did you know there were 56 of them? 56 people signed their name to that document. Who are the first 56 people they're going to kill when they get over here? When the British get over here, who are the first 56? Can you imagine going home and trying to explain to your family what you signed? Your spouse is going to say, what? You signed they're going to burn this house down if they get over here. You realize that? She said, yeah, and we just got this thing paid for. I mean, how would you explain to your family you're the one that signed that document? But see, vision creates passion. Passion creates discipline. And discipline creates total commitment. And total commitment changes the world. Y'all hear what I'm saying? How many descendants do you think there are in the United States today that are still alive who descended from those 50 people? A lot. Someone give me a guess. How many people today are alive in the United States and they're a part of what they call the Mayflower Society? I want you all to check me on this, okay? You can go to the internet, you can Google Mayflower Society. How many members, okay? Someone give me another guess before you look it up. How many? 2 million? 1 million? Man, that'd be big, wouldn't it? 33 million people descended from 50. That means today, each one of those 50 today represent 800,000 people. Wow. Wow. How many of you? That was 400 years ago. Y'all hear what I'm saying? 50 turned into 33 million. What kind of vision do you have for your family? What kind of family are you going to build? What kind of intentional direction do you have for your family? So because of these things, I made a decision. I'm going to become as intentional at home as I am at work. How many agree that's a powerful thing? I'm pretty intentional at work, okay? I try to leave as little to chance as I possibly can. So that's my motto. I don't hit it. I'm kind of a far away from it, but I'm aiming at it. I'm going to be as intentional at home as I am at work. So what are the 3 things you got to do to leave this powerful family legacy? Number 1, you got to see your family as your first and most important purpose. Your first and most important disciple. How many agree we got to make some disciples? Followers, am I right? We want them to carry on with this vision of our family, right? So I want you to see your family as your first and most important disciple. Let's look at this. This comes from Luke chapter 15. It says, if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? What would a good shepherd do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness to go search for and find the lost one? Did you know in the Shepherd Handbook, it says never leave the 99 if one of your sheep stray off? Why? Why would that be in the Shepherd Handbook? Well, dude, a wolf could come over while you're out there looking for that little old lost one who's already kind of prone to run off. Am I right? And that old wolf could kill 10 of your sheep. Don't you ever. But you know what? A really good shepherd will leave the 99 and go find that one, because that one is important. Now, hear what I'm saying? You know what we have a tendency to do as hard-charging, success-driven business owners? We have a tendency to pour our guts out for the 99, the people we lead, our customers and our team and so forth. How many agree we have a tendency to pour our lives out for the 99? We end up neglecting the one, our marriage and our kids. How many of y'all see what I'm talking about? How many see what I'm talking about? All right? So if you're going to leave a legacy, a multi-generational legacy, then you got to be someone who sees your family as your first and most important priority. Look, if you'll take care of the thing only you can take care of, how many of you know only you can be a mother to your kids or a sibling to your sibling? How many agree with that? Only you can do it. That can't be left to anyone else. Am I right? Only you can be a father or a mother to your kids. Only you can be a spouse to your spouse. Am I right? You can't delegate any of that. But if you'll do what only you can do, I believe this, God will take care of the rest. He'll make things happen you can't even think about getting happening, all right? Number two, the second thing you've got to do to leave a legacy, a multi-generational 100-year or 200-year vision for your family. Number two, you've got to see marriage as the foundation of the plan God has to help our children. We got to help our children discover who they're supposed to marry. I remember when I went to my mother, I said, Mom, how will I know when I've met the right one for me? I was 19. I just broke up with my girlfriend. How many ever had a broken heart? Anybody have a broken heart ever? Oh, my God. I had the most broken heart of the world. I said, Mom, I didn't think my dad would know. I said, Mom, how will I know when I've met the right one for me? She said, honey, I am so glad you asked me that. I've been waiting for you to ask me because I knew if I tried to tell you, you wouldn't even listen. But now that you're ready, how many of you know when the student is ready, the teacher will appear? How many of you know what I'm talking about? So I was ready. I grabbed my little notepad. I said, okay, Mom, I'm ready. How will I know when I've met the right one for me? She said, honey, you'll just know. Slow down. Is that all we got? Honey, we'll just know. Mom, I'm 19. I don't know come here from Sikkim. I mean, I barely have half a brain in one eye. I'm just going to know? And I go, wait, I saw a girl at the public pool today that I think I know. How many of y'all see what I'm talking about? That's all I had. How many agree we got to do better? Hey, what is who you marry, how does that affect your life? I mean, what kind of a decision is who you're supposed to marry? I mean, what kind of impact does who you marry have on your life? My gosh, it's one of the most important decisions you could ever make. Am I right? How many agree we got to help our children and grandchildren discover who they're supposed to marry? We got to help them discover the right person. And you know what? If you have a family vision and a mission and core values written, and you sit down with a girl, if you're a guy, guys, if you want to become a chick magnet, write a mission statement and a vision and some core values. And then when you say, like, man, I like this girl, you know, and then you show her your mission statement and your vision and your core values. And you know what she'll do? She'll run screaming, nah, right? Because she ain't the right one. But the right one will go, wow, I've never met a guy in the world who has a mission statement and a vision. She says, the average guy I meet is about as deep as a piece of paper. How many agree that's pretty shallow? Am I right? Man, hey, girls, if you want to be a dude magnet for the right kind of dude, you need to write a mission and vision and some core values. He'll look at you and go, wow, I never met a girl like you. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Look, I'm telling you, we got to see marriage as a foundation for the plan, and we got to help our children and grandchildren discover who they're supposed to marry. Because see, if the foundations are destroyed, look at this, Psalm 11:3 says, when the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? And the answer is nothing, okay? How many agree? The foundations of our culture are under attack. We all agree with that? Y'all see what, am I right? We got to turn that around. Number 3, we got to put an end to unresolved conflict among siblings and extended family. Did you know that unresolved sibling conflict has become one of the greatest tragedies in our culture, and in fact in the world? You know what? The first murder according to Genesis was between who? 2 brothers, Cain and Abel. Whew! Man, how many agree we got to put an end to unresolved sibling conflict? Hey, how about the conflict between Ishmael and Isaac, Abraham's 2 sons? You know who the descendants of Ishmael are? All the Arabs, okay? The descendants of Isaac are all the Jews and the adopted Christians, okay? How's that conflict been going for the last 4,000 years? Has it been getting better? Man, it's getting worse. How many agree? The enemy, our enemy, owns unresolved sibling conflict. So, some of you have a sibling today that's far away from you. You don't have a good relationship. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I believe you've got an opportunity to mend that relationship. See, I believe the key is for you to develop a family vision statement, a family mission statement, core values, and a family motto that you can pass to every generation of your family. My grandfather, John Diffie. How many ever heard of Diffie Motor Company? Ever heard of Diffie Motor Company? Yeah, there's a big dealership in El Reno. My grandfather started that company. And he was the most influential man in my life, but he died when I was 12 years old. Did you know I don't have a single piece of paper that he ever wrote? I don't have a single recording of his voice. I'd give anything today to have all of that. It'd be the most valuable thing I own. I'm going to ask you to become a family that has an intentional direction. And because of that, and the incredible vision of Roger Godwin, we're going to give all of you an opportunity to go through a family ID workshop where you will walk away from that workshop with your family mission statement, your vision statement, and your core values. What we charge right now to do that workshop with just one family is $5,000. But Roger has negotiated this for you at an incredible discount. And he's going to explain how to do that. We're going to do this all next in the first quarter of 2023. Be looking at your email. Every one of you are on the email list, and you're going to be able to get involved in this incredible workshop, and everyone will walk away. So if you would, take your phone. In fact, on your table you can get our newsletter, and you just put the QR code in your phone and go in and you can sign up for our newsletter. Also, we have a family ID app. Guys, we have got more free resources on this family ID app. Example after example of families that have written their vision and mission, and you'll get some incredible ideas. Hey, you know that associate pastor who said, Greg, you need to write a mission and vision. You need to do goal setting. He wrote me out an agenda of exactly what you do on that family goal setting weekend. That is in that app. Is in the app. All right, you're going to love it. I'm so excited. And be sure now we're going to be giving out a survey so you can fill in the survey information. Please help me welcome the incredible Roger Godwin. Let's give him a big hand. Woo!
Man, y'all are troopers. I really appreciate everybody just staying to the end. Who wants to go have a drink? All right. James is going to put that QR code back up for us. So, Greg was saying that his most prized possessions would be a video of his grandfather's voice or other things like that. My great aunt, one of my most favorite people that has ever existed on this planet for me.